Alright, so back with another video. I felt like recording a video for this replay. I haven't played much Ghost Format Yu-Gi-Oh! In quite a while, but I decided to do so the other day when one person in the Academy League was in need of a Eliminator opponent, and no one appeared to be available, so I thought I could play a match. And I'm playing my trusty Chaos Control deck, and I quite enjoy these matches because you get opponents who want to win, but it's no big deal if I lose because I don't actually have any incentive. I'm just here to play a match when I feel like it. So we Eliminators are a pool of people who are somewhat competent, I would argue. Not too competent, of course, since I'm in there at the very least. But we get to play against people whose opponents have gone AFK or who have had issues and can't finish their tournament matches. And rather than just give them a free win, we get to play against one of us, whoever is available. So I'm on the play. I imagine I'm gonna set Sangan Scapegoat. Yep. So what's fun is I can be a bit experimental. I'm still gonna play well and try my best, but if there's a close call, I'll go for the more experimentative option, just to learn really, because there's no actual stake for me. There are no rating points. There's no tournament finishes on the line from my point of view. So yeah, I'm gonna go for the Serpent, I assume. Yeah, use the meta. So I think this is Warriors. So I'm actually not intending to attack here. But if you pause in M1 for a second and then click BP as in battle phase, sometimes your opponents are just going to take the damage, assuming you're gonna attack, which is a bit of a scummy move, and I fully understand if you think that's a bit much, but these are the kinds of things I like to try out in these matches. So I click BP, even though I'm not actually intending to attack, and they took the damage. So, classic move. Set the book here to protect my thousand eyes from, let's say, a Tsukiyomi or such, but also Snatch Steal. But honestly, if you predict that there's no Tsukiyomi, you could keep the book. It's just low risk. We set the monster, and they could set basically anything into my thousand eyes. I'm just gonna clear it. It's a Dekoichi, so that's fine. I'm gonna set the Faith here, mostly because I'm here to have fun. I don't really feel like just sitting on the thousand eyes. So I set the Faith, intending to next turn perhaps tribute summon Thunder Dragon and flip the Faith. This does leave me a bit weak to Heavy Storm, but the set card does not appear to be live, and if it was a Storm, I would imagine it might have been flipped by now. So I'll take my chances. Once again, we set the monster. So to me, it's fairly obvious that they're fine with me attacking into this monster, or they wouldn't have said it. And I conclude that it's likely to be some sort of flip monster or maybe Shining Angel. Now that I've seen Blade Knight and Dekoichi, I am thinking that this is Chaos Return, Dingo 6 deck that they have had lots of success with recently. And fun to see that other people are finally picking it up and trying it out. So thinking this is Dingo 6 Chaos Return, it could be Angel, it could be Spy. I decide to trigger some of the Thunder Dragon, flip the Faith, and grab the Metamorphosis and go into Bolter. Because I think it's quite obvious at this point that their back row is not a battle trap, and I'm quite confident that this Bolter is going to connect. If it is a Spy, that would be unfortunate, but if it's simply another Dekoichi or a Shining Angel, this bolter is going to be great. So this is a play. I normally don't go for these lines, but I want to try them out because I view these matches more as practice. So works out great. I don't know the cyber jar, which honestly I didn't consider specifically cyber jar, but sure, that's another plus to going into bolter. I could set something here, but I'm not going to, I don't believe. Trying to respect Storm slightly at least. I know Storm isn't a huge issue since I do have the bolter, but still there are combinations of cards where that could be problematic. So we set the monster into the bolter, and there are very few monsters that they would set into a bolter. So I'm putting them on Spy here. And I know in hindsight it's obviously Spy because we can see the stats on the screen on the replay, but that is what I thought. So that's why I'm going for this Book of Moon. Now I'm gonna grab the Metamorphosis once again with the Faith. Going to Thousand Eyes. Suck up the Spy. And it is the Spy. Should be some of Thunder Dragon because their back row I deem not to be real at this point. And now I'm gonna set something. I think I'll set the break. Yeah, and it was a dust tornado all this time. So there we go. Once again, they set the monster. And now I'm thinking that maybe they could just be setting something to protect their life points. Or perhaps it's another spy. The only card I really have to fear here is the spy because anything else I'm fine with. And my only real consideration is how do I deal with a spy if it is the spy. And I do have the tribe now, so that would be fine. I live with the bolter, of course. Now I summon the tribe and I pitch the serpent. I also decided to set the book. Still not really scared of storm. I do have the bolter. I'm enough scared not to set the third back row. Obviously here that's not relevant because quite honestly double scapegoat that doesn't do anything here. But I am not scared of setting a second one. So I go for skill dark. And I think to myself that yeah sure this is just fine. We can have the tribe. I'm not so worried about that one. And now we go for a Chaos Monster, a BLS. And this actually turns out to be a huge problem. We banish the Bolter. And I would just like to note that saving the tribe wouldn't actually have mattered much, because it would still be able to be banished by a BLS or a Chaos Sorcerer. I know I'm in a huge trouble here. So setting a monster is not an option because it's just going to be banished by BLS. But as you've seen this game, I utilize my normal summon every single turn. And that's something I think is very valuable if you can do so in a safe way. And I like playing proactive Yu-Gi-Oh! Utilizing my normal summons. I think of it a bit as mana in other card games. You want to maximize your mana every turn. And in a similar way, I feel like, especially in Ghost format, utilizing your normal summon every turn is a good strategy. So my hand is a bit clunky, so I decided to cycle this tomato. I do have one copy of Dark Mimic level 3 in my deck. So I just decide to take the 1500 points of damage, or 1400 rather, in order to basically cycle the tomato, discard it and draw a new card. Draw a new tomato, so well, I'm happy I got one card deeper, but this is obviously a huge issue for me. Flipping the goats here, I assume, yeah. So finally I find the Chaos Sorcerer, and I do have two Thunder Dragons in the graveyard. So I am going to summon the Chaos Sorcerer, and I think I'm going to set the Dekoichi. But maybe I summon the tomato to run over the set? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I like setting the Dekoichi. That's Nobleman. I'm only running the one decoy in this version. And they attempted to summon the Chaos Sorcerer, but they didn't have any light. So these are Slifer bracket matches, so it's not the highest quality always, but I think my opponent has played reasonable. No notable errors so far. They go for Vortex, which obviously is strong here. I'm going to protect my Chaos Sorcerer with the book. And they have another Nobleman. So I'm under some pressure here. And this is a bit annoying for me because the tomato doesn't actually have any targets left apart from Dark Mimic level 1. And this is partially why I do have the one of Dekoichi, the one of level 3, just so that the tomatoes are not going to run out of targets, but this game they did. So I summoned the tomato. I decided to crush with the Dekoichi, and I believe I should add the Mimic level 1 here just to thin it out of my deck. I decided not to because a scapegoat protects my life points. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, I agree with my own play here. Flip the scapegoat, of course. And this time around, I think I'm going to summon the breaker, pop the back row, attack the set. And they have the ring. So we're both at really low life totals here. I'm going to set the mirror force and pass. My opponent knows that I have a serpent in hand. And they go for it and run straight into the mirror force. Very unfortunate on their part. And here, I intended to summon the serpent to put on my 3-turn clock. The problem is that Blade Knight, Azure Priest, Skill Dark all would kill me. So would Chaos Sorcerer. So I decide not to. Now I have the ring. So if I summon the serpent and attack, it's a 2-turn clock. Also, if they were to summon a monster, I could use the ring on either the monster to force a draw or potentially even a win, or use the ring on my serpent to prolong the game, whichever I think is the better play. So here I'm comfortable enough summoning the serpent to apply pressure. And they summon the breaker. And here I have a tough decision, whether to ring the serpent or to ring the breaker. I decide that my position is fragile enough that I should take the draw. And I ring the breaker and pray that there isn't a Solemn Judgment, which there isn't. And the game results in a draw.